Well, hello once again. If I sound a little bit stuffed up, it is because my allergies kicked into high gear for some reason today. Well, I wasn't planning to make this video. I don't know if this was a deliberate deception or if it was just a delusion. I don't really know what to make of this one. So I found this on my Twitter feed the other day, and it looks kind of more or less like it could be no change in curvature. But I did notice one really glaring problem. So you can see that the sign here in this one in space is much larger than this one. And if you look really carefully, you can see that they cropped it right about here somewhere. Because you can see right up at the top, you can just barely see a little bit of the, I guess, the frame that they've got set up to hold this thing in place. You can just see a little bit here, and it's probably right about there. So then I decided I was going to create a couple of different layers. I copied the base layer to another one, removed the top image, and then pasted it into a separate layer and resized it, and I tried to do the best job I could, but I think it might still be a little bit too big. You can see the sign here is just a little bit too wide, but it's a lot closer than it was before. Okay, so what does that mean? Well, then I drew lines on the horizon like this, and unfortunately I can't find out how far it extends this way, but I suspect if I extend it out this way, it'll probably extend out just a little bit more. Now, unfortunately, in this photo, I'm going to have to conclude that I cannot definitively prove anything. So then I was about to give up on that completely. Then I found maybe a sun space is on Twitter. So after a little bit of searching on Twitter, I found an image of this one. Then I did a little bit more investigation and I found the original video on YouTube. So now we can actually pick whichever frames line up the best. And we don't have to worry about scaling and missing and cropping stuff. So one thing that I wanted to point out was I'm going to scrub back and forth, and I want you to see the the uh, the card here in the thumbnail, and you'll see that as I scroll back and forth, it doesn't change size, it doesn't change position. So the real question is, who rescaled the image and why? So now that I've got that, I went back and I was able to grab a few more frames and try the operation again. I initially did it on my tablet. I tried to choose a reference point in the center that was as close to reasonable as possible. So I decided to try to find when it was panning up and down to just where it was underneath the top of the edge of this card. And I also tried to find a frame where it was rotated as equally distant from the top to the edge of the frame on either side of the frame as possible. This is the first one I came up with, and the one in space was this one. Then I drew some lines. So the first one here is the horizon line like this here. So the one in red is the horizon line on the ground, and the one in blue is the one for space. Now I'm looking over here, and this looks to be kind of uh, lined up, but if you look over here, I might have gone a little bit too low. So I might have flattened this one out a little bit too much. And it's also hard to see where the top in the back is because it's obscured by this card. So now if I overlay the two of them, you can see that the camera wasn't perfectly straight in both of them. One of them was rolled over a little bit. So I thought, well, how does this translate if I kind of rotate the red line to match the blue line? So I did this one. So all I did was I just took the red line and I rotated it on this point, and you can see that it kind of is fairly even all the way through, but there's a couple of interesting artifacts. One of them, this one might not be, it's hard to see. On top of that, I don't know where the top is on either of these. I'm just guessing because they're both blocked by this. So I did this initially on my tablet, and as you can see, it didn't quite work out. It was really hard. The tablet was really hard to scrub and to find nice frames. So then I went on my computer and I tried so that it was easier to find two frames that were slightly higher up. And this time I decided I also wanted to see the entire curvature. So I chose two frames where it lined up right here in this spot right over here where these two are pinched together. This one isn't quite lined up this way. This one is slightly tilted over to the other side, but you can see that they're pretty lined up. So now I did something similar. I drew the red line for the surface of the ground when this was at the ground, and then I drew a blue line in space. And now I can afford to copy this to another one and then rotate it. So if I overlay the two of them together, you can see that's what it looks like. And then I just rotated the red one so that it looked like this. And in this frame, once I was able to draw the spline curve so that it followed the entire edge of the Earth, we can see that it looks a lot more like the blue line is curved where the red one should be more straight. So there you have it. I think that at the very least, people see what they want to see. And at the very worst, somebody is deliberately trying to deceive and to push their own narrative, if you will. So that's all I have for now. Don't forget, if you liked this and if you made it this far, please give it a thumbs up, comment, like, subscribe, share it, all that good stuff. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.